Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Ruxin Sports. And today we have a special episode because the NBA starts tonight, which is extremely exciting because if you didn't know, this originally was Ruxin Hoops. It was going to be all basketball. So this is when I would have started the channel. I got a little itch to talk about NFL, so we ended up starting the channel on that. But the NBA is tonight. The Lakers play, which is exciting, following LeBron, of course. So very excited to see that. But let's get into the actual predictions of today's video. So what today's video is going to be is I'm going to be looking at the over-under win totals for every single team in the NBA. We're going to make a prediction like we did in the NFL. So, if it's 41.5 for the Celtics, we'll pick over, we'll pick under. So let's get right to it. I have a spreadsheet for this. If I went over under, some of these, I might have forgotten to change the over-under part because I did make some tweaks on the numbers on some of these because here's the thing with doing this. There's 1,230 total wins in the season, so you kind of have to make that work so it's actually possible for your prediction to happen. So I did that for a while. Okay, so let's get right into it. We're going to start off. We're just going to go in order with the Eastern Conference Atlantic Division, the Celtics. They just lost Jason Tatum, though apparently he might come back, which is a little weird. I mean, I don't know why they would do that because there is a lot of risk of re-injuring yourself when you try to come back early. Like, remember when Kevin Durant got hurt, ended up double hurting himself. It's happened a lot. Klay Thompson got hurt. He had a second major injury. You usually want to take like a year off, but it seems like he's trying to play. And if he does play, I think this number is going to be pretty unlikely if he's actually any good. But the thing about getting those major injuries is even when you come back, you're not fully 100%, usually 80%, 70%, and just a much worse player in general. So even if he does come back, it's going to be a little weird. Their team is a lot worse. They've lost multiple big players, including Drew Holiday, Porzingis, because they needed to make space on their cap. So not feeling too good about the Celtics this year. When you look at, I made a note. It says their starting center's name is Quinta. That's their starting center. I never even heard of this guy. So I guess he's a new guy. Their depth is zero, like absolute zero. If Jaylen Brown gets hurt, if Derek White gets hurt, they're going to lose, 10 in a row or something. So their team definitely iffy. I still give them 39 wins just because if Jaylen plays, if Derek White plays, I mean, they're going to still be okay, but the front court is ugly, like the centers, the power forwards. There's not a lot going on there. Maybe somebody shows up, but from the players that I've heard of and the players that have proven themselves in the NBA, they're just not very good. So next team, let's go to the Knicks. I had these as an under, as you can tell. It is now not an under. So Adam has a slight under. And looking at everything, I'm like, there are just not enough wins in the Eastern Conference. Somebody else needs to have wins. And after looking at everything, I'm like, it's got to be the Knicks. Like, the Knicks have to be that team. I was going to be like a little worried and take a stance like, well, Malcolm Brogdon just randomly retired before the season. That's usually not a good sign for your team. Like, if I'm Malcolm Brogdon, I've played 9 seasons in the NBA, never won a championship, I think. Pretty sure he's never won a championship. And I have a chance on a really good team to maybe do that, and then I just retire before the season. That's kind of a bad sign to me. From what I could tell reading about it, he didn't say anything about it was just like something about his desire for basketball. Now, that could be a complete garbage excuse, and he actually was like, this team is like a disaster or something, which I'd be surprised if it was a full disaster. They have a new coach, so usually when you bring in a new coach, you're at least very excited for the season, and unless he's just a complete flop. So I feel like the Knicks, because the Eastern Conference is super, super weak this year with Tatum being hurt, with Halliburton being hurt, and really it's just them and the Cavs like at the top, supposedly, they should be able to win in the mid 50s for games. 53.5 was a little high for me. I had them at 51 originally, and then I'm like, we need to give them some wins because somebody's got to win in this conference. So 56. Let's go to the 76ers. I don't even know how you could bet 42.5. Like, that is an over 500 season, and this team is a complete disaster as usual. Embiid, how do you rely on him to play even half the games? Like 41 games, he's not going to play that many. Maybe he does, but even then last year, he didn't look quite as good as his normal like MVP level Embiid. So he's probably going to be out. Paul George is definitely on the decline. Maxey, we're going to see. I mean, Maxey by himself, we already saw, can't carry a team. Not yet, because he is a young player. So maybe in a couple years he'll be able to. But last year he wasn't able to carry the team by himself. I mean, he's missing 2 of his best players, so it's not like a knock on him or anything. But him by himself is not going to be enough to win 43, 44 games. Though they did just pick up Edgecombe, who's an awesome rookie, but he's a rookie. So a couple of guards aren't going to be enough. We're going to see how Embiid shows up this year, but I am never picking the over on the Sixers while Embiid is still playing because he is just... He is a ticking time bomb for being injured. So 35 wins is what I have on them. We're way under on those because if he gets hurt and he's out 50 games, they're not going to be a good team. Raptors. Now, this is a weird one because 38.5 seemed I don't know, it's a low number, but I'm like, who's the Raptors? Like they have who they signed, what's his name? Brandon Ingram for a lot of money, like way too much money. They're paying Emmanuel Quickly way too much money. They're paying a bunch of guys way too much money. But they're all like decent guys. Like Emmanuel Quickly's pretty good. Brandon Ingram's pretty good. Like they have some pretty good players. I mean, Scotty Barnes, is he ever going to show up and be a stud? We're going to find out this year probably. If he doesn't this year, is he ever going to? I don't know. But 38.5 in the weak Eastern Conference. I mean, you only got to win 39 games out of 82. You don't even have to be 500 to cover this. I felt like a 500 team was the right place to put this team. This team has a bunch of guys that are going to be trying to win. But they're just not good enough to win a lot of games. So I think 41 is definitely fair. Let's go to the Nets. This team is, wow, this is a bundle of players, just random guys. I mean, they drafted like 5 rookies this year. So looking at this roster, they do have a couple of studs, like Claxton's good. Michael Porter is good if he's not hurt, I guess. And he's also a content machine with all the things he says. And there's one other player that they have. Who's on this team now? There's one other like decent player in the starting lineup, but they're all kind of old. So Middleton, right? No, or is that the Wizards? No, I'm getting the bad teams confused. But this team has a couple of good guys, and then it's a bunch of random players. So there's like zero like proven depth. It's 19.5 for a reason. I went under because somebody's got to be really bad, and I think the Nets are a great candidate. Okay, this Central, the Bucks. Here's one where I went way over. If you are a Bucks fan, you're going to be happy about this. 43.5 seem absolutely disrespectful, in my opinion, because they won more than that last year, and last year was a complete disaster. And they're not going to be worse this year. And of course, keep in mind, when I'm talking about they're not going to be worse or they're going to be better, that's barring injury. Of course, people can get injured. People will get injured. If somebody gets hurt and they're like, you said that they would be better, and then Giannis was out for 50 games and they weren't better. Well, obviously, I'm talking about in theory if everybody plays 65, 70 games, okay? So that's keep that in mind when I'm talking about these. Giannis, if he plays 65 games with this team that they have, they got a little better. They got Miles Turner on their team. He's not like an incredible player, but he's a decent player. They got a bunch of shooting around him. This is I'm not going to say a much better team than last year, but it's definitely a better team than last year. And last year, they already beat this win total. They were like at 46 or 47, I think. There's just no way that they go under 43.5 barring injuries. So I think that this, honestly, this is one of the most confident I am is in the Milwaukee Bucks. I think they're going to be one of the better teams in the East this year, just because the East is not that good. I think it's the top 2 teams, and then it kind of falls off. But the Bucks could be one of those awesome teams. Just having Giannis on your team, playing a lot of games in a weak East, is going to win you a bunch of games. Now for the probably the best team in the East, the Cleveland Cavaliers. I have them at 61 wins. They won over 60 last year. This could definitely change, barring injury, but we're not going to keep saying that. 61 wins. I thought about going any lower, but honestly, they have such a similar team. They lost Ty Jerome, who was a big piece off the bench, but overall, their core is still the same. They just got embarrassed in the playoffs last year. They lost to the Pacers when they were the 1 seed. I know they had injury and everything like that, but they're definitely going to be hungry. Like if these are real basketball players that have desire to win and like competitiveness, they're going to be angry about how last year ended, and they're not going to take it easy in the regular season. They're going to show up and they're going to dominate this East, in my opinion. I think they're going to be 60 plus wins again, maybe high 50s, whatever, but they should easily go over this 56.5. I think the Cavs are going to be really good once again. Mobley, Garland, and why am I forgetting Jared Allen, and of course Donovan Mitchell, who is an absolute beast. So as long as those guys are on the court, they're going to be really good. Let's go to the Pacers. Another team that's kind of weird because they lost Halliburton. And I was going to go, yeah, it's going to be a terrible season. Started looking at their roster. They've got like 8 legit guys. They had 7 guys that played throughout the playoffs last year, a bunch. And then they got like another, I think, what's his name? Like Jarris Walker or something like that. Another guy who's pretty decent. So like they have a pretty solid roster still, even without Halliburton and even losing Miles Turner. They were so deep last year that now they just got a bunch of guys that can play. And 36.5, like, come on, in the East, 36.5, they can't win that. They got Siakam. They've still got a lot of great guys on this team. They've got Nesmith. They've got the other guy that sounds like Nesmith, Nimhard. Like, it's just a really strong team, and they made all the way to the finals. They're not going to roll over. We just made the finals. We're not a bad team. We're not going to lose, the 50-something games. 36.5. You just got to win 37. That seems like an absolute lock to me. Pistons. This is another one that people were really in on the Pistons this year because they were so good last year. They kind of made a bump up. They were really competitive in the playoffs. with the Knicks. They lost 300 3-pointers from the guy who was allegedly gambling, Malik Beasley. I don't think they ever proved anything. They said he wasn't. They're still looking into him again now, so I can't keep up with that story. But I mean, honestly, you lose 300 plus 3-pointers on the wing, and you replace him with Duncan Robinson, who can shoot. But Duncan Robinson, when was the last time he was relevant? Maybe in the bubble, like zero defense. He does actually have. If you guys have never looked up Duncan Robinson, like dribble package or like he had like a dribble highlights. He low-key has some crazy highlights from doing that you wouldn't expect. But you know, when you play a lot of games, you're probably gonna have a nice highlight reel. But overall, I don't think he's nearly as good as what Malik Beasley was last year. So I have a feeling that they're not going to be bad, but they're going to be similar to last year. I think they won 44 last year. So this is 45 is what I have them at, which is one above. But 45.5, winning 46. I know the East is weak, so it is possible. Being a young team is usually a big benefit. So I could see that mattering. But I'm going to stick with like kind of a similar season as last year. Not really a huge jump like people are expecting. I think they're still pretty young, and losing Malik Beasley will probably slow them down a little bit. 45, I think, is still a really good number, so I think they're going to be decent. I forgot I haven't been checking my notes that I had last year. But yeah, I forgot to mention the Cavs got Lonzo, and one of my favorite players to watch. Just an awesome passer. He's going to be hurt. It's just how it is, sadly. But when he plays, Lonzo is very fun to watch. I think he'll fit in perfectly for that Cavs team. Okay, let's go back to the Bulls. The Bulls, Chicago Bulls, 32.5. This one is almost like pure feeling because the Bulls have always won like 39 to 41 games for the last, like, I can't even remember, since Michael Jordan, basically. They always win 40 games, like 39, 40 games. 32.5. I mean, who'd they even lose? They have almost the same team. Still got Josh Giddey, who, you know, he had that whole issue with him, you know, a lot of drama, but on the court, dude's pretty solid for like a mid team, you know, very average team. He was very good in fantasy basketball, I'll say. Dude puts up stats overall. And then they got to Kobe White. Like, they're just an okay team. They're an okay team. They're not going to tank because they never tank. That's very important to consider in these over-unders. Who's going to tank, who's not. The Bulls never tank. They will never tank. They're always just going to win half their games. So 37 is even under half, and it's still crushing the over-under. I think there's no way that they win under 32.5. The East is terrible. They love to try super hard when they don't need to. They're going to win 37. All right, Southeast Division. Now we're on the Magic, another hyped up team. This team was pretty awesome for being awesome at defense, young, hustle guys. Then they added Desmond Bane. The one thing they don't have is shooting. So they had a KCP, and he was terrible at shooting all of a sudden. We'll see if that happens with Bane. I doubt it because he's an absolute sharpshooter, like just unbelievable shooter. Will he affect their defense? He's an okay defender. He's just really like, his arms are really short and his leg, like he's not very long. So that might impact their defense a little bit. But when you have 4 other stud defenders, I don't think he's bad enough to like for that to matter for the defense. And then he's going to be a much better shooter. Paolo also missed a bunch of time last year. Bronze, I would expect to be a little bit better because he kind of had a rough start last year. This team should be significantly better than last year, which was in the mid 40s, I think. Maybe it was low 40s because of the injuries. I can't remember. This team should be very solid in the regular season because when you have a young team that tries really hard, plays a lot of defense, you win a lot of regular season games that way. Just low scoring slugfests, showing up when an older team might not show up on a road trip. You know, it's like, we got the old guys, let's rest somebody, or they're not going quite as hard. The young guys, 23-year-olds, 24-year-olds, they're going hard every single game. They're going to be a pretty competitive team as long as they have everybody that's currently on their team for the whole year, which you never know about trades, you never know about injuries, etc. But I think this team's going to be pretty awesome. 53 wins. They should probably be like the 3rd team in the East. Could even be the 2nd team if the Knicks aren't as good as people think. But I think they're going to be definitely strong. Let's go to the next one. I feel really good about the Magic. The Heat, I don't feel good about. 37.5. There's a reason for that. Tyler Hero's out for a long time already. Now, I don't know if that's a lot of their scoring, but he's not really a good defender anyway. So it's going to be interesting to see how much worse they are without him. Because if you put out a guy that could actually play defense, can they find the scoring from somewhere else? They still have Bam, who's kind of wasting away on that team. Sadly, maybe he'll get traded at some point, but he kind of has a big contract, I think. So we'll see. I don't think this team's any good. Looking at the roster, I don't even remember who was on it. I looked at all the rosters, and that's kind of where I got my numbers from, and then kind of tweaked it from there. I can't even remember who's on the Heat anymore. They still have Who was the other guy that they thought was gambling on the Hornets that used to be on the Celtics? Rozier. They still have him. They have Wiggins, another guy who's had 6 good months in his career on the Warriors. 2022, they had that awesome run where he was amazing and they won the championship. He hasn't been good since. So they've just got a bunch of guys like that are just, oh, that guy's still playing basketball. Awesome. Under for sure. Hawks, another team that people are so in on. The Atlanta Hawks. Oh, you know how many years I've heard this about the Atlanta Hawks? I know they have some not cool cards. This is not Yu-Gi-Oh. They have some cool players. Dyson Daniels, Trae Young, gonna pass the ball, get a lot of assists. How many years? Look, and honestly, Trae Young is the reason. I've seen too many Trae Young-led teams go 500. I'm not giving them 47 wins. I don't care how bad the East is. 47 wins for a Trae Young team, it's just not happening. The guy's clutch sometimes at end of games. He's not a 50-win guy. He's just not. And he is the point guard, and that's kind of important. He is the number one guy, the most expensive player on the team. I just can't do it. I can't do it with them. I'm going to give them 500. They might be a little bit better than that, but 47 is just way too much for me. Hornets, 26.5. This is one I have with the over. I love some of the guys on the Hornets. And by love, I mean basketball-wise, as I mentioned, Brandon Miller. Awesome basketball player. He got hurt last year, so he was kind of on a tear, and then he hurt himself for like 3 months or whatever it was. LaMelo, dude's a goober, but he makes some absolutely amazing plays. Is he a winning player? I don't think so. But is he a 28-win player? I think he is. Like, he might not be a 50-win player, but I think he is a 28-win player. They've got Miles Bridges, who is a scorer, not necessarily a defender. So I think this team's going to be able to light it up. Con Knibble is going to come in and hit some shots. So I think he might even be starting, honestly. Kalkbrenner, I think, is going to be an impact center. Dude is massive from Creighton. Dude is absolutely massive. He'll definitely be able to impact the paint for them. I know they kind of need that too because the centers and bigs on their teams are not great. So 28 wins, though. I mean, come on. 28 wins. You don't even have to win a lot. You have to win 28 games, like 30-year games. Not that crazy. Okay, Wizards, speaking of terrible teams, we have McCollum is rotting away on this team. Yeah, this is where Middleton is. McCollum and Middleton are rotting away on this team. They don't even have Jordan Poole anymore to score their points. I don't even know. Like, I don't know where they're going with this team. The Wizards, they did go up one, I think. I think they were 19.5, now they're 20.5. Interesting enough. I don't need to talk about the Wizards too long. So 598 wins in the Eastern Conference. This is less than we have for the West. This is live and unedited, so I'm going to take a little water break real quick. And now's a good time to subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. If you guys enjoy Rucks and sports, you enjoy basketball, you enjoy football, you enjoy whatever, let me know in the comments what you want to see me talk about. Let's go to the Western Conference. Thunder, Lightning and the Thunder. This is a pretty easy over. This team is all returning. Now, there are some things like, oh, they just won the championship. They're not going to be as hungry anymore. All that different stuff. Yeah, sure, maybe. This team's still young. They're not old and like, we finally got our championship. They're like, we're young, we want more is what I'm expecting from them. We want to win 2 in a row. We want to win 3 in a row. We want to be the next Warriors, the next Heat, whatever. That's what I'm expecting from the Thunder. They are completely stacked. They have 10 plus players that are decent. That could be on multiple other teams, almost every other team. They still have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander coming off the MVP. I'm sure that's not going to, he's not going to be like, I got an MVP. I'm good to go. He's going to want more. He's going to want to, catch up with Jokic and the MVPs. He's going to be really good. I don't see how they lose. Last year they won what? 67, 68. I don't know how you win 62. Injury. That's the only way. If this team is playing for real, this team is going to win 63 games. This team is insane. It's by far the best team in the West. People think that the Nuggets are close to them. I don't think it's close. I love the Nuggets. I don't think it's close. 67 wins should be a lock if everyone plays the whole season. And that's even like, we got to remember that they didn't even have Chet for the beginning of the year last year. He didn't even play for the first few weeks, and we saw how good he was in the playoffs. So that's they could win 70 games. They're that good. Timberwolves, 49.5. They have Anthony Edwards. They have no Alexander Walker. What team is he on now? I can't remember where he went, but he was a really big impact player off the bench. They kind of need him for shooting, for coming off the bench energy. I have a feeling that this team, like, everyone's waiting for the Ant ascendance. Like, Ant's going to be like a 30-point-a-game guy. I mean, he's already an awesome player, and they only won like 49 last year. They lost a big bench player. The West is going to be just as tough. I could see them being a low 50s team, but I went under just because of that big loss, and I feel like it's a plateau year for them, another plateau year. I mean, they kind of did that last year. Ant is a great player, but the way he plays, so many three-pointer shot, it's a lot of variance. You're not like a consistent like 30 points in the paint like Shea is. When you can lock in that 30 points without having to take 25 three-pointers, or not 25, 15 three-pointers, it feels a lot more consistent throughout the year. Where and it's like if he goes 2 for 17 from 3, you're probably not winning that game. So I don't know. Let me know in your comment. Let me know what you guys think about the Timberwolves. I think that could be a divisive one. Some people probably think they're going to go off. I feel like it's going to be sort of a high 40s win year for them. Nuggets, another team that I really like. I went under on them because 53.5 is a ton in the Western Conference, an absolutely stacked conference. I do like all the moves they made. I'm glad Valanciunas didn't retire or whatever he was going to do because he's an absolutely awesome center, great leader, old school veteran of the NBA. He's going to be awesome to have behind Jokic. And of course, Jokic is one of my favorite players. I love watching that dude. Super competitive. I still, this is like, it bugs me with Jokic that people are like, dude doesn't even care about basketball. He wants to ride horses. And then you watch him like when in a competitive scenario and he's screaming and like yelling at people and he's goes so hard. Like there's just no way to me he doesn't love basketball. I just don't believe that. I think that's one of the most overstated things because he doesn't act like he cares when they win or whatever. But that's a side point. I like that they got rid of MPJ. It felt like Michael Porter Jr. was just slowly falling out of like chemistry and just like everything about him was just weird. And then we saw the interviews and it's like, oh, that makes sense. Cam Johnson, I think will possibly be a awesome replacement. I want to see it happen first, but I think that he could potentially be as good or better at that MPJ was, and he costs less. So that's going to be really nice. Then they got back Bruce Brown, who just wasted away on the Pacers in Toronto for a couple of years. He's back from the championship team. He's an awesome bench player. They have much better depth than they did over the last couple of years. They had zero depth before that. So these plus like the younger guys like Strother, who've been playing a lot, Peyton Watson, I think. Is he still there? I think he is. They've gotten a lot of playing time because of the tight bench. Now they're just going to be nice complementary 9th and 10th players, which is great. So I think they could have a really awesome season. I think 52 is still respectable, though. Let's go with that. Jazz, another terrible team. And this is a team, I haven't mentioned this for the bad teams, because this is where you lose on the over-unders. They will definitely tank. The Jazz love to tank. They're paying their coach for 25 years just to tank. They don't care. They're all like, yeah, let's just win 15 games this year. We'll get the first pick potentially, and then they get the 5th pick or whatever. This team is going to be bad. And then when it comes to the end of the year, they might even trade Markkanen. When it comes to the end of the year, they're going to go, okay, let's just play a bunch of G League guys. Let's just make sure we don't win, right? They have no reason to try to win. They're just going to lose every single year until they can get the pick that they want. So yeah, 17 wins for them. Trailblazers, 34.5. This is kind of around what they won last year, I think. I think that they're going to go over because they do have a lot of guys that could potentially get quite better. Like whatever his name is that played at Kentucky, the Shaedon Sharpe, didn't actually play, but they've got some awesome guys. I love Denny Adivija or whatever his name is. I had him in fantasy last year. He's a great fantasy player. Now in terms of like real games winning, they did win a bunch of games at the end of the year. I like their team for a 34.5 win spread. Now, in terms of being really good, I don't think it'll be awesome, but they do have a lot of guys that I like, and I think will win some games on those late West Coast games. Like you're about to go to bed, you're like, oh, Portland is beating Denver by, 20 points. What's going on here? It's just like randomly, it's like 11 p.m. So I think they're going to be okay. I don't think they're going to be awesome, but 37 wins for them. Pacific region. Now, division, I guess. It's not a region. This used to be such a good division, and I watched a lot of it because the Lakers, a couple years ago when the Kings lit the beam, I bet $1 on the Kings. They were plus 25,000 to win the division. They won the division that year. I won $250 on $1. So that was a lot of fun to follow the Kings throughout the whole year. Well, this division kind of sucks now because the Suns are terrible. They were bad last year with KD, with Bradley Beal. They got rid of those guys, which getting rid of Bradley Beal is probably a net positive, to be honest. But Kevin Durant's gone. That's never really going to be a good thing for you. Devin Booker is still there. He's been on the Suns his whole career. He's been on bad teams. He's been on losing in the championship teams. He's back to being on bad teams. This team's going to suck. And they do have their pick, but it's the worst of their pick in the Wizards. The Wizards are going to be horrible. So, I mean, I guess based on the lottery, it's going to matter, but they're still going to not tank, I guess. I mean, I guess they will. No, they're still going to tank, but not too hard. I don't know that they're going to tank at the beginning because of their owner, but their team is just not good. Like, if you look at their team, they have Dylan Brooks, who's probably going to get traded. Like, He doesn't belong on this team. He belongs on a decent contender. Devin Booker's not going to get traded because he's making $100 billion this year. So he's just going to sit there and rot away. They just don't have a lot of guys. And they're probably okay with losing at the end because even if they are not as bad as the Wizards, they get their own pick. If the Wizards are better than them, then they can get, the Wizards pick, which is still going to be bad. But then you have to factor in the lottery where it's going to, just based on the odds. So then they get that pick. So it's really confusing NBA stuff. You can't just tank fully. But they're definitely not going to be trying at the end of the year, in my opinion. So 29 wins. The Kings, this roster is hilarious. Russell Westbrook, Dennis Schroeder on the same team. Then you've got Levine. You've got DeRozan. You've got Keegan Murray, who's already hurt. Very weird combination of players. Very weird. I don't know how this is going to go. Well, I do. It's going to be bad. They're at 34.5. I have them at 25. I could see this being terrible. Now, 25 is probably way too low for having like professional basketball players, like old school players on their team. But the thing is, are they even going to be playing the whole year? I have a feeling like older guys, there's a chance at injury. Then there's like, oh, we're really bad this year. Let's just take everybody out, I don't know how it's going to go. And plus, like Levine plus DeRozan, that was a combo in Chicago. They won 40 games like max. So I don't know how having Westbrook and Schroeder, I do actually like Schroeder. I think he's pretty good. But Westbrook and Schroeder both need the ball a lot. Don't think that's going to work super well. Lakers. I am a Laker fan. So this is biased, and I know LeBron's already hurt. But 46.5 with skinny Luka on the team. I mean, it didn't even matter if it's skinny Luka. It could be overweight Luka. It could be fat Luka. It could be obese Luka. I don't care who it is. Luka's on this team. DeAndre Ayton, I don't love, but he is a center. That is not named Jackson Hayes, whatever his name is. A center not named Jackson Hayes is got to be worth something. And is DeAndre Ayton. No, I hate him because he's like not a competitive player, but he's going to be better than Jackson Hayes, who they literally could not play in the playoffs. They decided to go no center instead of playing him. So they have him. Marcus Smart, probably washed, but there is a chance that he is an okay wing player. They've still got Austin Reeves. They've still got Rui. They've got real basketball players on this team to play with Luka. I think this team could be pretty good. Now, LeBron is like hurt all year. He's got a nagging injury. He has sciatica, which I don't know how he's going to get back from that because I had a friend who had sciatica. Shout out Caleb. Was hurt for like 3 years. Or it was terrible. So I don't know how he's going to just come back from that and be fine. So I'm a little worried about the LeBron situation. If LeBron doesn't play the whole year, could Luka win 48 with this team? I think he could. And if LeBron comes back and is like what he was last year or even close, I think they definitely could win 48. They only won like 40. No, they won 50 last year, didn't they? Or was it 4? What did they win last year? I don't know. But they were pretty good last year. And I think they could be pretty good as well. They got the Luka trade in the middle of the year. So, they should be pretty good, right? They should be pretty good. That's me as a Laker fan. All right. Hopefully we're decent. Okay. Warriors. I went back and forth on if this was going to be a flop season or a big season. So as I said earlier, I'm not going to do it based on injuries. At first, I'm like, these guys are old. They're probably going to get hurt. They've got Jimmy. They've got Steph. They're not going to make it the whole time. Well, I decided that wasn't a fair way to do it. Let's look at the team. This team was awesome to end the year. They were like 21-8 to end the season. Like crazy, crazy pace there. If that whole team plays with Jimmy Butler, with Steph, as long as the Kuminga situation doesn't like blow up everything, he's complaining all that, which he is going to because he's constantly, him and his agent is like, oh, I'm unhappy. Put me in, coach. I'm making $45 million the next 2 years. Hopefully that doesn't blow it up, but this team is pretty good. We already saw this team play together. They added Al Horford, which that really made me worried because I really liked Looney because he just had played on that team for so long. He's a vet, and he just played all the time. Al Horford's awesome, but he is old, man. He's like 40 years old. This team is super old, which makes me nervous for the 50 number. But I think they definitely, if they play 60 to 70 games each, 55 to 65, this team can win 50 games. It's a very, very decent team. And in this division, honestly, you get the Suns and the Kings multiple times, like 3 times a year or 4 times a year. That's not that hard. Okay, let's go to the Clippers. The Clippers, I went under on them. 47.5 seemed really high to me. They have a very similar team than they did last year where they won a bunch of games. I think they won 50 last year. But they lost Norm Powell. And Norm Powell, he was hurt some of the year, but he was a beast at the beginning of the year. People were considering him for All-Star and like, not All NBA probably, but All-Star votes. Like that guy was that good. He was dropping like 25 a game for a while, and then he got hurt. They don't have him anymore. You still have Kawhi on your team. You still have this weird aspiration situation where he's making all this money. They're still investigating them. Having this massive investigation going on during the season, you can't understate how much that affects players. Like, I'm not a player. I never played in that kind of situation. But imagine every single day you're going to practice. People are like, hey, so what do you think about the aspiration thing? Oh, so what's going on? Hey, Kawhi, how's it? They're asking you all these questions. Like, can we get a comment on that? And you're just trying to like get warmed up for the game, get practice in. That's going to be something that might hang over their head. It didn't really get resolved on what happened. Was it legal? Did Kawhi know? Like, all that different stuff has not been actually solved yet. So we're probably going to get questions about that throughout the season. So I can imagine that's going to weigh on them as well. Losing Norm Powell is just a massive L for them. Like, that's a really good player. They still have some awesome players on the team. I really like Zubac. I cannot believe. I've ranted about this for years. I didn't have a channel to do this before, but the Zubac trade from the Lakers was one of the worst trades in NBA history. As you can see now, the dude was third team All NBA last year. They got him for Muscala or whatever his name was. Dude didn't even play, and then they cut him at the end of the year for a third team All NBA player who was young. He was like 20, and there were signs. Like, the dude was not bad when they traded him. It wasn't like he was a rookie. The dude was already playing for the Lakers and was good, and they just gave him away. Thank you, Magic Johnson. Terrible. Okay, let's move on. I'm still mad about that, but I think 44 is a good number for the Clippers. Mavericks, 40.5. I wanted to go under on them. I'm like, guys, you guys are ridiculous. There's no way you're going to be good. You have Anthony Davis, who, look, I know I said the thing about injury, but you have to factor it in with Embiid and Anthony Davis. They had to be factored in. Now, Anthony Davis played a lot last couple of years, actually. He's been really good about being healthy for his standards. But you can't count on that. He's already has the eye thing where he needs to be wearing goggles for the last 15 years. And they told him this year that he needs to wear goggles, and he's still not doing. He's taking them off all the time. Put the goggles on, man. Nobody cares what you look like. You look cool. You look like Kareem back in the day. Put the goggles on. Protect your eyeballs. If you can't tell, I'm really frustrated as a Lakers fan, having watched him for many years. Such a good player, but just does the dumbest stuff sometimes. But he is an awesome player when he plays. You got him. Kyrie's supposedly going to try to come back. You come back from an ACL, you're not going to be 100%. So I'm already like, no, not really on the Kyrie thing. D'Lo's on your team. D'Angelo Russell. I've watched a lot of him on the Lakers. That guy's not a winning player either. But if he's just a role player, he can hit some threes and he can be pretty decent. But as your point guard, that really makes me worried. But looking at the team, I mean, this is only a half 41, winning half your games with like stud centers. Gafford's pretty good. Lively's pretty good. Anthony Davis doesn't want to play center. I want to play power forward. Whatever. He's awesome. You got Cooper Flagg. Impact player right away? Probably. Is he going to be like a 20-point per game guy? I doubt it, but I bet he's a decent role player. I mean, the team is just okay. Like, it's pretty okay. I can't see them winning like 30 games. So if they do go under at like 39 or 40 or something like that, it wouldn't completely shock me. If somebody gets hurt and they stink, it wouldn't shock me. But this feels like a pretty competitive team throughout the year. If Kyrie does come back and give them anything, pretty intimidating team. I didn't even mention Klay Thompson. The guy can shoot. So I think the team's going to be okay. I don't think they're going to be awesome. I don't think they're going to be terrible unless somebody gets hurt. 42 wins. Rockets, another one that's kind of a big deal. You know, the Rockets, they got KD this year. But then that huge Van Vliet injury, that was a massive, massive injury because no point guard. I mean, this is basketball. If you guys have ever played basketball, no point guard, it turns into an ISO fest, a post-up fest. Like, Şengün's awesome. It's great to post him up a bunch. That'll work a few times, but doing that throughout an entire game, we saw kind of what happened last year with them. Just slowly post him up, very choppy offense, not scoring a lot of points. They had to get a lot of stops on defense. Now, they're still going to be good on defense, but it doesn't work that great. Now, they do have KD, who's an awesome ISO player, but another old guy. You don't know how many games he's going to play. And ISO ball all the time, it's good at the end of the game when you need a bucket. It's not necessarily good the whole game. When you don't have a guy setting you up, it's going to be a little awkward. Can Reed Shepherd be that guy? Probably not. The dude's tiny. If he shows up and he's just an awesome point guard this year, I'll be shocked. If he is in a few years, maybe. He's just so small and so young still. He didn't hardly play last year. So this will be like kind of his rookie season if he does. He's definitely going to play. I mean, they have to play him. Amen Thompson, he's kind of like a point forward thing. If he turns into like a legit point forward guy, he's so athletic. This team would be insane. I don't know if that just happens overnight, though. That'll probably be a next year thing or 2 years. So I'd expect them to be a good team this year, but not over 52.5 team. Grizzlies, another team that I was like hard under. They're going to stink. And then I was looking at their team and I'm like, this team isn't that bad. And if you have Ja Morant, which if you have Ja Morant is a very key point, whether he's going to be hurt, whether he's going to be getting suspended, whatever it is. If he plays and Jaren Jackson played like 70 something games last year, so he's going to play. Those two together, that's a pretty okay team. Like that's a 500 team. They're always really strong in Memphis. They play really well at home. Memphis fan base is really good. People are really into the Grizzlies. I am not into the Grizzlies because I live in Tennessee, but very far from Memphis. And I still wish that Nashville had that team. So not really into them right now. Also, I just don't like Ja. I'm not a huge Ja fan. I do like Jaren Jackson. Dude's pretty good. But one request, Jaren Jackson. You think we could get 6 rebounds a game this year? What? Like he just doesn't get any rebounds. So I don't love that about him. This team's kind of small as well. Are they going to be able to rebound? I don't know. 41 wins. I think this could be a disaster. Let's say Ja gets hurt. Jaren Jackson gets traded or something. I don't think he'll get traded because I think he might have signed an extension. So he probably won't. But just Jaren Jackson, this team's not a 39.5 win plus team. I think they're probably 35, 30. Okay, Pelicans, another one that is an absolute nightmare to predict because this team is an absolute disaster. So originally I was super low on them. But then I started going, here's why they're not going to win less than 30.5. If Zion's playing, he's not hurt yet. He's supposedly skinny Zion, which I am out on Zion. Like skinny Luka, I'm bought in because Luka, it hasn't been long enough for me to not believe that he can't change. Zion has been long enough. Every single year. He's just chunky. He doesn't care. He gets hurt. It's whatever. I'm not in on him. But if he does play, when he plays, they're an okay team. If he plays 45, 50 games, they're going to win probably half of those or a little more. So they're going to be off to a great start. And then if he gets hurt, they can win a few games along the way. Then you have to factor in that they stupidly traded their first round pick for this year in order to move up to get a rookie this year. Derek Guino, I think, is hurt. I think it's Derek. Isn't that it? So they don't have a pick next year. So they can't really tank because they traded their pick. So unless they have someone else's pick, but then you don't tank for someone else's pick. So they don't need to tank at the end of the year. So they don't need to tank. Zion is not hurt yet. The roster is okay. Like there's some good players on the team. And this is 30.5. 30.5. You want to win 3 out of 8 games, basically, to cover this. So 37 seem reasonable. Not a 500 team. I'd be surprised if they're 500. But being like a 29-win team, there would have to be some bad things happen. Okay, last team, the Spurs. Obviously, everyone's seen Wemby. Looks insane in the preseason. I didn't know. I feel like 45. I feel like going over on this is very optimistic still. But then you got to factor in that they got De'Aaron Fox. They got their new rookie, whatever his name is, from Rutgers, who apparently everyone is impressed by. Dylan Harper, I think his name is. They've got awesome backcourt now. The front court, you have Wemby. He's going to be swatting everything. I just like the team. I think they have Cornet too. What'd they call them? The vanilla latte or something like that. I think that was their nickname, which is hilarious. So 2 massive 7-footers down low. This team is built to win a bunch of games this year. They're still very young in a lot of aspects, but I think that the team's going to be pretty decent. And if Wemby is actually as good as people think he's going to be, is he going to make that leap? Is he going to score, 25, 12 rebounds, 4 or 5 blocks a game? If you get that kind of guy and he plays most of the year, you're going to be an over 500 team. So I think 45 is definitely fair with this. Are they going to win like 50? That would be a really big leap. And sometimes you do see big leaps like that. The Thunder did it. They went from like 20 something to 40 something to 60, like they were just awesome all of a sudden. And that might happen with this Spurs team. I don't know if they're ready for that yet, but that's what I have. 45 wins, total 632 wins. So I have more wins on the West than I do on the East. That was actually kind of what happened last year. Very similar. I think there was 637 last year. Here's what it's going to look like. I think I got all these numbers right. I was kind of messing with these last night. So here's what it's going to look like. Here's the play-in for the East. We got Cavs up top, then the Knicks, then the Magic, Bucks in 4th versus the Pistons. I think that'd be a pretty good matchup. Pacers versus Magic might be kind of fun. Then you got Raptors, Hawks, Celtics, and Bulls in the play-in. I mean, the Bulls have to be in the play-in. The Heat didn't make it finally. So I don't know if, it's always the Heat and the Bulls. So maybe that'll change. I think this feels like a pretty realistic play-in. And you got the Nets and the Wizards and Hornets at the bottom. Then for the West, we got Thunder at the top by far at 67 wins. Nuggets are at 52 wins in second place. Warriors in third, tied with the Rockets, both have 50 wins. I didn't pick like who won the matchups for like tiebreakers, but you know, here's what it is. Lakers at 48 wins, Timberwolves at 48 wins, so they both tied at 48. Spurs, Clippers, Mavericks, Grizzlies feels like a reasonable play-in. I think that could definitely happen. Trailblazers just missing the playoffs, just like last year. Pelicans out of the playoffs. Suns definitely out of the playoffs. Kings and Jazz. So there isn't actually a ton of change from what happened last year, which makes me think I could have got like, there's probably going to be a team that I'm way off on that's really good or really bad that we thought was going to be good or thought was going to be bad. But it's hard to predict that stuff. That's why we're doing this. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, your predictions, if you have them. I want to see what you think I'm completely wrong on, what I'm definitely right on. Your favorite team in the comments, because I want to know who to shout out when your team is sucking or when your team is doing great, because we kind of have that going in the football picks. So let me know in the comments if you guys enjoy these videos. Let me know down below if you want to do check-ins for picks, if you want to do futures, stuff like that. We can talk about like odds and stuff like that, because I like to look at those odds and see like, oh, they're now favored to win their division and everything like that. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this long video on Ruxin Sports. Subscribe to the channel because we are making our way toward 1,000 subscribers. So I hope to see you guys here in the future. I'll see you guys next time. Good luck to everybody's NBA team. This is going to be an awesome season. I'm excited for tonight. Lakers, go Luka! Peace.